Like there's a lot of stress in a high stakes exam like the CPA exam. So people want to talk about it, you know? Whenever there's high stress, people want community, I think.
Welcome to HotDocket, the show where we talk about winning marketing strategies that have built the most successful law firms.
Join us every 2 weeks for the latest trends and tactics to grow your law firm.
Let's start with the cheers.
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 Hey, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. You guys are my guys. My
Oldest
dick-
client,
my
oldest
dick-
Mean Pug client.
Hey, man. I like to think I'm the reason Mean Pug exists.
I mean,
That's what I tell
you're
people.
not wrong.
That's what I
It's
tell
the OG. the OC, the original
OC.
client.
The original client, yeah.
Yeah, the original client.
The original client, original creator.
Well, okay. So with that, OC, let's talk about today's theme. Today we're going to talk about doing things that don't scale to build a successful business. I think a lot of people listening right now might be like, who's Joey Reeve? Is he a lawyer? We're on a lawyer podcast. Let's talk about lawyers. I think it's important that people hear view sets that are like not in the industry, poke your head out, see what other people are doing. And you, I think, are like one of the people I most kind of admire on this topic of doing things that don't scale until you need to scale them. So with that, I'd love if you could just start off by telling us a little bit more about Universal, what makes it different from the other established players, and just give us your story.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. But no, yeah, I mean, I think when I first started Universal, I literally had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about the internet. I didn't know anything about technology, certainly. So when I went into it, I think initially I kind of had this impression that we were just going to throw something up on the internet and it was just going to sell, you know?
As many do.
Yeah, so I think initially we just went hard on the quality of the product and the platform, which ended up helping us long term. But yeah, we didn't know anything about, you know, how to rank on Google. I think when Andrew and I first hung out, you know, I was asking him a million questions about SEO, you know, how to rank high. He was telling me all these things about the affiliates in our space.
I remember meeting you at a bar.
Yeah.
We met you at a bar.
Stone Street Tavern.
Stone Street Tavern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
And
I'll never forget that conversation.
Me too. Over like, I don't know, some appetizers and like beers.
Dude, what I'll never forget about that conversation is I remember it was just like a ton of pressure. My dad was like, you know, trying to get me to find the right people to build our website. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they sound legit. I didn't know anything about, you know, like any of it. But I remember you guys were fighting over the value of a domain name. And I was like, yep, these are my guys.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I was like,
Pretty much always an argument one way or the other.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And we probably swapped, like, I bet back then I probably was like, yeah, it doesn't matter at all what the domain name is.
Dude, Andrew, I remember was like, no, it's got to be like 7 letters or less. It's got to be like simple CPA.
Right.
He's like, and I was like, nah, I was like, I'm going to go with Universal CPA review. And Bobby was like, yeah, I like it. And Andrew's like, no, it's got to be smaller than that.
Yeah, way to go.
If it's up to me, though, we'd keep iterating on it until we just never find one. So at some point, you gotta.
No, at the end of it, I feel like you'd be like zoom out and be like, well, it might not just be CPA and it might not just be review. Let's call it Universal.
You know, in that defense though, that is sort of not a regret, but something that I do think about a lot is like, hey, maybe it didn't make sense to include the word CPA, because what if Universal becomes, you know, visual learning for more than CPA someday.
Which you're doing.
Which we're doing, yeah, for sure. I think it could have been easier to consolidate it into one domain and just kind of keep it more general. But the more I look at GoDaddy, the more I realize how impossible it is to get a domain these days.
Yeah. If you want one of those good domains, it's 9 or 10 figures for some of those single word great domains.
I just hired a broker to get the AskJoey.com domain, and they came back and they were like, she's not selling it. I was like, but I have the trademark. And they were like, doesn't matter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give a number?
Well, he was like, you could come back and offer him, you know, like a strong 4-figure offer. I looked at the woman's website. It was, you know, like women's coaching or something. But, you know, I don't
Wait, Ask Joey is a woman's coaching business?
Well, so it's actually a redirect domain. It's not even being used. But she was telling him apparently they plan on using it at some point. Anyway.
All right. Well, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. I mean, related more so to the original question. How to scale, you know, I guess without a lot of resources, without any understanding of the internet, you know, I guess that's more or less what you're asking. Yeah, so we took a very aggressive, more so guerrilla approach. And I think why that worked. For me, it's all I kind of understood, like, hey, let's just high level here. What are we trying to do? We're trying to get our brand in front of a ton of people. I don't know how to do that through various algorithms, whether it's YouTube or Google. It's something that was just way beyond me. So I thought, let's just find ways to get the people manually into some sort of community where we can, push out what it is we're trying to sell. I knew that we had a great product. I knew that what we were putting in front of people was going to stick. So I think that, just the fact that we were essentially teaching accounting with cartoons was as different as it's going to come. So we did Facebook groups initially to start, and there was a big Reddit community that is still existing. We found that getting involved in Reddit was a little bit more policed than Facebook groups. And Facebook, has a ton of policies and security that prevent you from doing the things that you think, I'll just create 100 Facebook profiles and get a bunch of people into my groups. But we tried everything in the book. And it did work, I think, for the first couple of years. And I think that I swear by Facebook groups to start your business. If you know nothing about the internet, just a huge resource that you could do to build a community. Because, what I found that was interesting about the internet was how many people are on Facebook and how many people are talking to each other on Facebook. You kind of have internet friends, which is what it kind of became. And why it was so beneficial for us and why I think it works so well was because I think there's a lot of stress in a high stakes exam like the CPA exam. So people want to talk about it. Whenever there's high stress, people want community, I think. Which I think applies really well to legal because talk about a stressful, world.
Yeah, and I want to take a quick stop there. I want to establish your pedigree. So I think a lot of the firms we work with, they'd be thrilled if they had a couple of thousand users a month, a couple of conversions, get a couple of cases. What are your metrics today?
Yeah, so we've grown 3x across the board. I mean, trial count, new users, sales for the last 3 years. Revenue, I mean, we've grown pretty much 2.5% or 250% year over year. And it all started with Facebook. I think we spent, $15K on ads in our first year to start. So initially, I think so much of it was just kind of doing it this guerrilla way. And at this point, it's all I know. It's all I understand. But yeah, no, we've I think our biggest metric that we've grown has been on YouTube. I think our subscriber count went up high, but I mean, we do a lot of video content. But yeah, we're definitely growing.
Yeah, and it's not like you went out and raised $5 million of seed capital and it doesn't really matter. It's not my money. I'll just do what I need to and grow it at all costs. You've been doing it intelligently in a scalable way.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I don't know if I would say intelligently.
Okay, all right.
I would say
Pseudo-intelligently.
naively, I guess if that's a word. I think I just kind of went into it. I was extremely naive when I went into it. I just kind of BS'd the whole thing.
No, but you hung in there.
Yeah. I was obsessed with it. I also think I was leaving a job that was not, accountants, there's a huge narrative right now in the world of accounting that they're underpaid, they're overworked. And I think for me, I just kind of learned pretty quickly I wasn't going to file tax returns for the rest of my life. So
you're going to say file tax returns.
And so that's another thing I'm trying to avoid too.
Same. Do you have any secrets?
No secrets. It's funny. People think just because I'm a CPA, I know anything about actually filing taxes. I know nothing about the actual practice of accounting.
That's amazing. So did you just splash me with your drink?
Not even possible.
This is an elegant drink.
I actually think it might be dripping.
Splashing whiskey.
Okay, that's not a great sign for business in general. Roof's leaking.
Hey,
getting splashed by whiskey and or water.
We're on the HotDocket.
Yeah, we're on the HotDocket. So I would love if you could walk us through some strategies that, they don't have to scale. I think the one very common misconception is you have to do things off the bat that are going to generate 100x, 1000x, 10x, whatever returns. And it doesn't have to be that way. There's books written on this, obviously. People talk about it, but it's easier to talk about it than do it. what are some of those things that you've seen successfully through to the end that have been like non-scalable strategies?
Yeah. So another thing we do is, so last year we had a really, I was going through a business transaction that I had to make a lot of money quickly. So we put together live classes, and we offered, basically what happened was we needed to upsell our current business, our current audience. What we're struggling with is we don't have the resources to be at every university like some of our competitors. We don't have the relationships with CPA firms. We don't have anything. So we basically we knew what we had. We had a list of all the people that have tried our product. We know that our conversion rate was 40% within of lifetime and 26% in the first 12 months of trying it, which to me is high. I mean, I was excited about it. So we had all these people, and the thing about our product was when people bought it, they swore by it. And I think a lot of that came with the community building piece. Just the continuous value add. So because we needed to go up essentially 50%, 100% in revenue this year, just mostly for my personal greed, I had to think about, okay, it was the first time I was like, how can I make a lot of money fast? And the only solution, I threw a ton of darts at the dartboard, but the only solution was we have to sell more stuff to our current existing pipeline. And that's where the live classes came in. And I was extremely fortunate to find a really good instructor. And now we pretty much only recruit from where they came from. It's funny, we all of our instructors are from BYU, and so we exclusively recruit from BYU. Just the best of the best, and they have the highest pass rates out of school. They perform the best in school. It was a little gold mine. And basically, we were fortunate with a great instructor to help us out. But yeah, long story short, just upselling our existing clients was kind of how we grew quickest. There was no secret hack to the internet, I don't think, for us to just grow. Even if we were to just pillage at Reddit or Facebook, there's only so many people can do. So we had to think creatively in that way, I guess.
And in terms of upselling, what's your process? Is it like you've got outreach sequences built out where you put people into like an automated sequence, or is a lot of that manual outreach? How do you upsell?
We were just extremely aggressive. Really what it is Facebook. We were Facebook messaging people. We were calling them. And we didn't have any legitimate CRM. We weren't doing anything that was organized in any sort of way. We had Google Sheets and highlighted names and Facebook URLs.
Shout out Google Sheets. Man, you can do everything with Google Sheets.
Yeah, for sure. You don't even need a CRM the way I see it.
Can I maybe cut that part? I think you do need a CRM sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. You're also talking to somebody who literally knows nothing about anything.
No, that's
CRM related.
I think that you guys have the right approach. Use Google Sheets until you can't.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Like no reason to preempt buying shit you don't need.
Yeah, start simple and see what works.
Correct.
Whatever brings in revenue, or whatever science cases, sells courses.
And we're guilty of the same thing. We've had our fair share of over engineering.
Yeah, and it's a great concept. Everybody wants to streamline and automate their sales process and make it, access to quicker information, I think, is key in sales. You know, and that's something Google Sheets does not provide. I waste so much time every day just diving into my sheets. I have 1 million sheets. I don't even know where half of them are.
Have you tried Airtable?
I don't know what that is.
It's it might be like your next phase of it. You don't want Salesforce. Google Sheets doesn't do quite what you need.
Yeah.
Airtable kind of fits a nice little gap there.
I do a lot of sales calls. So we tried Close.com.
I have a story after this about you with Airtable. Very funny.
I think if you look at the majority of companies, I think a lot of them end up over engineering, because most companies are small and most firms are small, and you end up going with a solution that works for sure. You look at one of the enterprises or one of the big companies, and you're trying to emulate that. And oftentimes that might be the wrong choice if you are small, because you're not going to use it.
I think that's a good point.
Implementation.
I think over engineering is something we're definitely guilty of, but I think everybody I've seen, I think that over engineering is kind of it can be more crippling than you think too, because it can actually take you steps back and you're out 2 months of your work because you try to do something cool and fast.
The cost and time is high.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's not until you really get into it, a couple of years into your business where you realize, what a month or two actually means, to your timeline. It really can set you back.
But I want to point out the other side of that equation. There are scenarios where it's complicated because it's complicated, right? Like I remember we were at Morgan and there's a famous quote from Andrew that I'll never forget. Why don't we just use Airtable instead of Salesforce? And it's like, we could do everything that we're doing in Salesforce with Airtable. And he showed me like a couple of rows of attribution data. And we're like, look, we can see Facebook is here and Google. So it's attribution. And it's like, what about like call center routing? What about like queuing and assignment rules and escalation processes?
At the same time,
service center and
for my defense there, it's because basic things weren't happening. It's like intakes weren't being called and that sort of stuff. And we needed one agent to prove out a particular campaign or a particular channel.
But it's complicated because it's complicated. And I think it's complicated because it's complex. Like many times there's a reason why it is the way it is. And there's like a history to it.
For sure.
But at the same time, I think what we're talking about now and like what Joey's talking about is from the get-go when there is no history, why create like this artificial complexity?
Get to an answer quickly.
Well, you also don't know what information you're going to want and what you're going to need until later on. I mean, there's, for us, I think phone numbers, at first we thought selling online products was just, they were going to buy it on their own, but then people don't start buying on their own and you're like, we need to make money. So, we need to do other things. And that's sort of my personality too, where I'm like, we need to do everything possible to chase down this sale.
I would like to talk about something that I think you're kind of uniquely positioned to. So in legal, we sometimes talk about this like paralysis problem, this unwillingness to try new things. And usually that results in this it's very rare that lawyers get first mover advantage because they don't really want to move. They don't want to try things or they're more conservative in like what they're willing to try. So it's very rare to create breakthroughs in the industry. I'd love to hear from you, like, why shouldn't that be the case? What are some of the things you've done or you've seen work that have resulted because you are a first mover?
Yeah, no, I mean, if lawyers are bad, accountants are worse. Accountants don't move at all. If you even look at, seriously, if you look at business education in general, you would see accounting at the bottom of the list in terms of any sort of growth or innovation. So it was weird for me. I like to think of myself as, a creative in a CPA's body. So my dad basically made me get the CPA license. Told me I heard this. I love this story. Yeah. He basically told me, I'll pay for you to go to college, but I get to pick the degree. And I thought that sounds fair. But anyway, long story short, accountants don't make moves. I mean, I think that they're terrified of trying new things. And I think a lot of that could be said for a lot of professional services. Doctors are no better. I mean, I grew up in a healthcare family. But anyway, I think that you don't want to be too creative. You don't want to go over the top because that can end up crippling you. So it's about taking controlled risk, doing your homework, and seeing if there's somebody else who's found any success with it. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel. There's this company in our world called Sketchy. Yeah, we talked about Sketchy. Yeah, I think they're fantastic in what they do. But you're looking at, within scope, still education, but looking at something sort of, not directly in your industry. So if it's legal, for example, if you're, working in personal injury, maybe you look and see what has worked in defense, or something like that. Looking outside and doing a little bit of homework outside of it and seeing if there is kind of a case study that has worked in that realm.
I'll tell you, for us, when we work with clients, one of the first things I always like to think about is what other businesses are generating their revenue by virtue of their content. If you want to talk about like building top quality SEO and content, look at the businesses whose lifeblood is content and SEO. So we'll look at like New York Times, we'll look at Washington Post, we'll look at major publications for inspiration on like widgets to build and way to lay out content and all that stuff, because they should be tip of the spear when it comes to things that they're doing.
Yeah. I think that one thing around that though, especially on the ad side, are the ad arbitrage guys.
Yeah.
Where they are making money by running ads on content on other content platforms. So you'll be on the New York Times. That is like the origin of clickbait titles and things like that, because they rely on it completely because the margin is so thin and the product is almost nothing. It is just clickbait content.
I won't get too deep in the weeds on this because I have a friend slash one of our developers actually who is involved in like some of the stuff. He's not involved. This is getting way sketchier than it actually is. Lived in Ukraine. Now he lives in Poland.
You just made it worse.
Yeah, I made it way worse. And apparently there's like this very, very common arbitrage there around casinos and like betting apps, basically ways to create like traffic arbitrage on casino.
Because they're
traffic.
not allowed to buy traffic.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So like a lot of apps embed it, but it's against the App Store policy, and then it's like how do you circumvent? And there's like a lot of kind of maneuvering in those channels. So yeah, I think doing anything there is hyper competitive, and if you win there, you've also kind of figured out how to circumvent regulation, which is its own.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's definitely impressive.
For sure. No, I agree. I mean, for us, for example, social media, is an area. Basically, when I look at accounting education, or I look at anybody that we're, working, competing with, we try to do everything that they're not doing. I think for us, it's particularly easy because, they make it easy on us. We're talking about competing with 65-year-old men reading off of a PowerPoint slide in many cases. So what we try to do is we try to just be as creative as possible. I mean, we try to create funny videos, we try to, we try to. I have like 6 or 7 wigs at home.
She does this every episode.
Yeah, you should see my Amazon bill. I bought like 7 wigs.
I've seen your wigs in your videos.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
So, I mean that's one way to go about it. I don't know that everybody's down to throw on a wig and dress up like a woman and dance in front of on social media.
No, that's doing things that don't scale. I think that's like part of your magic.
Yeah. I mean, it forced us to be creative, and I think legal and accounting are kind of similar in this way, in that there's not a lot of people who are going to take risk on the content side of things. But I mean, just look at these apps. Everybody's every 5 years there's a new app that everybody's using. TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, what have you. And that's where traffic is. Maybe TV ads, I guess, are still a thing. But, I think if you could create creative content on those apps, and find ways to be different, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I think you're also kind of talking specifically about marketing here and how you've done things differently there. I think like the approaches you're doing, and again, like the parallel here for law firms is, even though there's like all these ways to do things differently on marketing, there's also ways to do things different on pre-lit, on litigation, on your operations and back end, on your call center. You do things differently in not just your marketing, but you also do things differently in like the way you want people to learn. And you think visual is better.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think I'm a visual learner. I think we're all visual learners. I mean, the retina processes information 60,000 times faster than text.
Oh God, you just hit an ad.
Yeah, Joe, you're currently in an ad format. So
oh, cool.
You're back. You're now back to a fireplace.
I think we're all visual learners. I think at the end of the day, the retina processes information faster than text. There's nothing about a block of text. If you don't know the information, complex information, that is going to help you understand, the logic and the intuition behind information. So to me, a visual, really helps kind of dumb that down, and it helps kind of make it, a simplified format. And yeah, I mean, I think that there's no reason that accounting can't be taught with cartoons. There's no reason that people can't learn with an accounting 101 sort of basic approach.
Yeah, and you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Joey brought up an interesting point about different channels. coming as things change. It's the same eyeballs though. So as long as your content itself is different, it's more important than the actual channel itself. So you could be a first mover on TikTok, it'd be fast to get there. But if your content is the same, it's not going to matter. You'll have a window of time where you'll do well.
Yep.
But that'll get eaten away once someone produces better content. So I think focusing on differentiation,
better
with
content,
your advertising and your product.
Yeah,
is important.
Whenever I go over the top on content in terms of quality, whenever I approach it in the same way that I would approach the product, they perform the best. I mean, our anytime people say, "Oh, I saw this video," and when we ask them, how'd you hear about us? They saw a specific video that I'm particularly proud of, that I thought, that took me my entire morning to come up with a 7-minute video on this. But so I agree with that, and that quality content is king.
What's your favorite video right now?
Jeez, that is a loaded question. Favorite video right now? What's our best performing video, or what's my favorite video?
Either or, the one that's just the most different or most out there for a CPA learning video.
All right, so I did this video where I basically created an avatar for 3 different students who failed the CPA exam, and one was Kyle. And
Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's firm bought his review course for him. And then I just kind of froze the camera on him, and he was just making this ridiculous face. And then the other one was Erica. And Erica was this blonde-haired girl who thought that if she took, just crushed a bunch of questions, she would fail, or she would pass. And then the other was this guy, Daryl, and he's an EA, not a CPA, so he obviously knows tax. So yeah, that was my favorite one, where I just kind of created like these profiles, and I was like, these are the 3 pain points that we see in students. Let's just put them into a character and make it as ridiculous as possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And like a parallel to legal here, we are like working with a nursing home abuse firm right now who saw a lot of success in a campaign where they created cohorts of people who were in scenarios like, I saw my mom has like these bed sores. I don't know what to do. What should I like think about, or who should I call? And putting yourself in these scenarios and creating this, you are connecting directly with like an end client.
100%. I think if you could take the pain point, and your customer better than anyone else, so if you could take the pain point and you turn it into literally an engaging, humorous character, or however you want to do it, you turn them into a profile and you say, like, essentially, hey, this is you. We are now communicating to you. This is your problem. This is why we're helping.
Yeah,
we're the solution to that problem.
Yep, love it. So I want to talk about your background. You're not a lawyer, but you are operating in a competitive marketing space. I think it'd be helpful if you gave some pieces of marketing advice to lawyers that, given that you're not a lawyer, you still think it's like universal.
Yeah, I've given some advice to CPAs, which is not totally different from legal, in that they're both professional services. I think, however you could scale to an audience, your message to an audience, like, we talked about it, Facebook groups and things like that. I'm a huge advocate for webinars. If you could get people into a group setting, and there's an app called WebJam, I think, where you don't actually have to be live on the webinar. You could just interact on the chat. So I think the advice I would give is any way that you can build an audience and add value, bring free value to them, gets them hooked. And they remember, and this is something Andrew always told me from the beginning, was, how can you add value for free? It doesn't have to be the core product. In this case, for legal, it doesn't have to be their core service. They don't have to give free services to bring them in. But if you could give them a clip or a taste of that free value, and you can get that message across to 100+ people in one go, all you need is a 2-3% conversion rate to see a couple big contracts.
Yep. I've never heard of WebJam, but we'll link that in the comments. That's a great
WebJam or Webinar Jam. It's I think it's WebJam. It's pretty cool. There's this girl, Miss Excel. She's great. She does sort of similar stuff for Excel teaching, Excel learning, but she started in 2020 during COVID, and she just crushes it. She does these dancing reels, and she's cute as a button, but she brings all these people in and she sells Excel courses to like IBM and like some big ass companies. But she WebJam is where I was going with that. I did one of her, because I was like, she has a phenomenal funnel. So I went all the way through it, and WebJam, I don't even think it was her on there. Just some assistant just talking, answering questions as they come in.
I love that.
So these are all pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded, and you select a date on like, hey, when do I want to join this webinar? And then you get an automated email, add this to your calendar. And I was like, God, that's so smart.
We have some firms we could add that to tomorrow.
What was the original touch point, though, where you found her? Was it through a YouTube video? Was it a Google search?
Yeah, no, Corinne, the girl, one of the people that works with me, she was the one who introduced her to me. I mean, her brand to me. Instagram, yeah, she was doing Instagram Reels, and I just went all the way through it. Saw in her bio, her link tree. All it was sign up for our free webinar. Webinar took me to a 2-block landing page with 9 total words on it that said, hey, sign up for my webinar with this video. Select your date. We selected the date. I was like, I got to see this webinar now. I got this. And every email she sent me after that, I screenshotted it because I was like, those
nurturing sequence, when they work, they're gold.
They're gold. They were the nurturing, her ability to nurture the lead was so impressive. Getting the email just like, hey, add this to now it's on my calendar. Now I'm getting a reminder.
Yeah.
Like to have the presence of mind to think in advance, like, hey, what am I going to do to get them to the finish line? The way she did it, I thought was extremely impressive.
I think that's direly missing in like most firms that either we work with or that we've talked to, is like this kind of, they've become a lead, they're not a client. What's that sequence or nurturing sequence to make them like a assigned case?
Same is true on the referral side, though. There are some of these firms that have brilliant lawyers, and they might do a webinar, but there's no nurturing, leading all the other attorneys into it, and they would do a lot better if they put just a little bit of effort into that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a huge gap to be filled. Okay, so Joey, the way we usually end these things is with a little game. I know you haven't seen this game yet.
No,
so.
heard good things.
Okay. So we're going to ask you 3 questions about legal marketing / terminology, and I want you to guess the answer. Then I want you to give us 3 questions about the CPA exam, and we'll try to guess the answer.
3 questions about the CPA.
Or whatever, CPA stuff.
Okay.
Accounting stuff.
Accounting stuff.
All right, first question from us. What do you think the key TAM case type might relate to / be about?
Key TAM case. God, that's a good. I have no idea. Key TAM. I don't know. Intellectual property. Not even Key TAM doesn't even sound like a U.S. based. Sounds.
It's like a fake.
Can I get the answer at least? It sounds extremely.
Yeah, it's whistleblower. So it's people who are blowing the whistle.
Do we know the origin of this key TAM?
I think it's an act.
Okay.
I think that was actually during the Civil War, where there were a lot of government contracts that were false and bad, and they were just stealing government money. Mm-hmm. And that you can get compensated if you work for one of those companies and you blow the whistle on it.
Holy shit. Fun fact.
Yeah. All right, fact number 2. Actually, it's not a fact. It's a question. What do you think the statute of limitations on a car accident case in New York might be?
3 years. I don't know.
What? How do you get that? How do you know that?
I knew it couldn't.
Did you get in a car accident?
No, I knew that it couldn't be as serious as some of the other statute of limitations, 5-7 years. I was like,
I'm shocked. I would have never gotten that.
He probably saw like 20 ads just on the way.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I knew that, I was going to ask that
You
question.
only have 3 years. Don't wait. Act now.
It's Andrew's ad. Sounds like an Andrew ad.
Number 3. What's the maximum amount a doctor can receive as a referral commission for sending a patient to a lawyer?
God, I should know this. My pops would kill me. I feel like he talks about this stuff all the time. He's always doing that. He's like, God, I can't make more than that. 5K? I don't know. Yeah,
Trick,
sorry, Bob.
trick question. Doctors are not allowed to receive referral commissions under federal anti-star
Sorry,
laws.
Dad.
Oh my God! You know that's too.
Hopefully you got the wrong answer.
It was too good. I feel like I've heard that before. You know, like,
Yeah.
there's no chance.
Kickback laws.
Yeah,
Who needs them?
dude? That was too easy. That was a trick question.
Trick question. Okay. Well, do you have any questions? Can you ask us some CPA questions?
CPA questions.
It could be from your. They could be from Universal.
Okay. What's a good CPA question? Oh my God. What's the passing score of the CPA exam? This is,
Yeah.
I don't even-
60%.
Andrew.
I'm going to guess 74.
74, 75 is the correct answer, boys.
Very close.
74.
Oh, we don't get it. We don't get it. Oh, you don't. It's-
Tough. No
Boo, boo, boo.
Once you pass the first section of the CPA exam, pre-2024 changes, pre-CPA evolution changes, how long did you have to pass the subsequent 3 sections?
1 year. Or was it 9 months? It's one of the two, I think.
I'm going to guess 18 months.
Oh, 18 months is correct.
Wait. Oh, well,
Bobby,
I was
come on
wrong.
now.
You can put a down one down for me.
Give Bobby a boo.
Yeah, okay. All right. The mixed result. All right, last question.
Okay. Which CPA exam section historically had the lowest pass rates? Was it BEC, Reg, Audit, or FAR?
Going to go with Reg.
I'm going to go with far because it sounds like fart.
FAR is correct.
Oh, got it.
There it is.
Far is in fart.
You
Nice.
got to give me the...
Killing it. Oh, yeah, and he gets a negative.
He needs a boo.
All right.
You guys actually did pretty good. I think we each got one.
I can't believe you got the car accident one. Of
Yeah,
all
that
the
was
ones
pretty
I
good.
thought
To be
you,
honest, it was a pure guess. I should have got the last one right and the second one wrong.
you definitely should have gotten the last one right.
threw a number out of me.
Yep, that was very good. Joey, this was fun. This was our first in-person one, which I actually now want to do more of these.
Oh, dude, it was a blast.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's a great way
so
to spend
let
an
people know
afternoon.
where to find you online and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find us at www.universalcpareview.com.
Check them out. Join us on the next HotDocket podcast. Thanks, guys.
I don't know why I wave like I'm like, goodbye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of HotDocket. We're your hosts, Bobby and Andrew, founders of MeanPug, the marketing agency for ambitious law firms.
Have questions about marketing or anything we covered today? Email us at bark@meanpug.com. Be sure to subscribe to learn more.